Hey everyone, my name is Courtney Morgan and I'm the Teacher Professional Development Manager here at Kira. I'm also a former computer science and math teacher right here in New York City, and I am deeply familiar with exactly how much time it takes teachers every single week to plan your lessons and get ready to teach engaging, amazing lessons to your students. Because we're a team of many former educators who know these struggles, we've made some really useful tools to help you make the most of your time. And the one I am most excited to show you is our lesson creation tool. So to get us going, I am just on the Kira homepage. I've logged into my account by going to app.kira-learning.com, and I'm just going to scroll down to this button that says create a lesson. I'm going to go ahead and give that a click, and it's going to bring me to this page where I can start creating with AI. I have three options to start building my lesson. The one that we're going to focus on today is building from a prompt, but if I had materials that I want to use to inform my lesson, I could also import content. And if you're like me, where you've ever been in the position where you realize you have just completely forgotten that you needed to teach a standard and state testing is a month away, I could also choose from specific standards that I need to target and build the lesson that way. Now, once you select the prompt, you're going to have to answer a few quick questions. We're going to ask for the grade level, and I always taught high school, so I'm going to select 10th grade. We also need the duration. So this can be anything from a quickie lesson that you're trying to sneak in to something much longer for the folks out there who are doing block-based work. When I was teaching, we were at like a normal 45-minute cadence, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. And then I'm going to focus on the lesson type. This lesson type is going to inform how your lesson is built, whether it's an assessment where there are many more questions being asked that assess prior knowledge, or whether we're looking to introduce something new. In this case, I'm going to say skill development and practice, and then I'm going to go ahead and put in a prompt of what I want students to be practicing. Now, I was a math and computer science teacher, so I'm very tempted to just put in a math or computer science prompt, but Kira now works for all subject areas. So I'm going to try and stretch myself a little bit and think outside the box to maybe ELA. And I'm going to say that I want a lesson where students practice using figurative language, like writing with similes and metaphors, as well as using good descriptive language and tone. I'm going to go ahead and click Generate Outline, and now the Kira AI is going to go to work. So from that prompt, it's going to turn my prompt into some learning targets, and then it's going to break those learning targets down into a step-by-step time-based outline where it describes what students will be doing and roughly what should be happening. So I can read through this, and if there's any changes I'd like to make, I can actually type right into this. So maybe I don't want students to work in pairs, maybe I want them to work independently, or maybe I want them to work in small groups. I can type in and make those changes. I can also ask Kira to help me write if I would prefer. If there's something I feel is missing, I can also go ahead and add a step. And English teachers, I'm so sorry, but I'm just gonna drop in a random essay. So write an essay with figurative language. Students must write a 5-paragraph essay that uses figurative language to describe something they see every day. So I'll add that in, and it'll make a little time adjustment for me. I can adjust this as well if I disagree. And then once I'm happy, I'm going to go ahead and click Generate. So once I click Generate, Kira is once again going to go to work, and Kira is going to be working very hard. It might, in fact, take us a moment to get there. But Kira is going to think through what this lesson needs to look like. So it is going to go ahead and generate all of my steps, starting with the first page where it will also generate an image for me, and then filling in all the other steps along the way. So we can see it's like building out before our eyes, which is really cool. But we can see it's starting to fill in some other pieces, some other images, which we love to see. And again, those might take a moment to fill in, as well as places where students are going to answer questions. Most of these questions, because I had a specific writing task where they're practicing, are going to be written response questions, which makes total sense to me. But sometimes they'll throw in some multiple choice, and we'll see in a moment that there's even more activity types that you can use. So I'm going to head up now that my images have loaded. The AI has made me a cute little cover image, and it's made a nice image of a student investigating something. in this part about tone, and I can see that it's starting to throw in some of the cuter pieces that are available in this editor. So when you make this lesson using the AI content creation, it's going to put you in a beautiful place to start teaching. But we know that often lessons are not complete until you've put your own personal teacher touch on it. And at Kira, we are big believers that nothing is ever going to replace a great teacher, but certain things like our AI tools are just going to make it possible for you to do your job better and for you to focus on the things that matter. For me, the things that always matter, that I care the most about, are going through and making things pretty, making them cute, rearranging, and maybe adjusting some of the language so that I think it's something that'll really vibe with my students. I also am very passionate about design, so I might be throwing in some design pieces to make it look a bit nicer. So let's start off with the option to add text. So I can add different text elements to my page. Maybe I think this is lacking a title. I can go ahead and put in a heading tag. It'll show up somewhere. I was clicked into the wrong place. It'll show up on the step that I have selected, and I can then click and drag that header somewhere else. So I'm going to drag it up to the top here. And now I have a place where I can give a title to my slide. So I've added a heading. I can add headings at a few different levels. I can add paragraphs kind of in different shapes and sizes, as well as other things you'd expect, like lists, numbered lists. If this were a computer science course, I could incorporate a code block to display code that I maybe don't want them to run, but I want them to see. I can also use this cool piece called sequence. And a sequence is going to drop in something where you can fill in steps to complete a task. So for my ELA class, I might drop this in the step where they're writing a 5-paragraph essay. I might say that they first need to write an outline, determine a thesis statement, draft your conclusion, write your essay, read and edit your essay. Whatever steps I want students to follow, I can lay them out in one of these sequences. And if we think about the implications in other classes, if I were teaching a math class, I might use this to spell out a specific algorithm or formula that I want students to learn to follow. In addition to those fun little sequences, we also have these colored callouts that we can see examples of here. But if there's anything we want to add to be a little bit more attention grabbing for our students, that's what these callouts are for. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in a reflection callout. You can see it adds with this cute little brain image next to it. And I can add a header, maybe think about this, and then I can type a question here that I want students to think about. I can go ahead and change the color on this if I want it to look a little different, maybe not stand out as much or maybe stand out more. And I can also drag and drop this as I see fit, maybe putting it next to my sequencing header if I see fit to do that. We can keep adding as many of those as we would like, again, changing the color to make anything we want to stick out. And of course, if there's something that we don't need to stick out but we need to add, we can also just add plain paragraph text right alongside what we were writing. So maybe I want to give an extra example. I can go ahead and type that out too, and it will look just like any other text that we are seeing on the page. Now, this is great for the basics, but I know you probably are thinking that you want to be able to add more, and we have more options of things you can add to customize these lessons and really make them your own. So if we click on this media button, we'll see that we can add images, video, as well as embedding any sort of Google document that you would like directly in your presentation. So maybe you already have like a 2-page Google Doc that describes all of their requirements for a big essay that's coming up. Rather than porting it over, you can just embed it right in there. Likewise, if you use Google Slides for your presentations and you want students to be able to reference when they're going through a Kira lesson, you can go ahead and embed it directly in the lesson itself. For now, I'm going to try and add an image and I'm going to try and add a video. So when I add an image, I always have the option to upload or to provide a URL where my image will live, to find it from Google Drive, or I can generate with AI. So if there is something that I am just not seeing that I think would make my lesson perfect, I can give it a little description like a purple octopus flying through space with a platypus. And I can go ahead and click generate. And again, it's going to think a little bit about this image generation, kind of like with all AI in 2025. Image generation takes longer than just text, but eventually it's going to spit out an image that matches the description I gave it. Now, while we can't AI generate videos yet, we do have an option for, oh, that's so cute. We have Kira and Pepper. That's adorable. While we can't AI generate videos yet, we do have an option for getting AI search assistance as you put videos into the platform. So when you click search with AI, it's going to bring up any open source videos that it think matches the topic of what your lesson is. So remember, my lesson was about similes and metaphors, and I can see it suggesting all of these possible videos on YouTube, how to write similes like a pro, that I could go ahead and stick in if I needed something quick for my students to reference. Now again, we do recommend that you preview all of these videos. This is showing you what's available, and it's doing its best to find the ones that are the most relevant, but you'll always want to watch them as a teacher to make sure that it's actually as helpful as the AI thinks it is. Now, if you would prefer not to search with AI, you can also upload your own video or again, provide a URL for a video. If you're a teacher who likes to record your own videos or you have a good backlog from pandemic teaching, that is always an option for you as well. Now, all of this is fine and good. We've added some media, we've added some text, but what if you want students to do more activities? Luckily for us, there is an activity button where we can add more pieces from things like check for understanding questions, which are kind of one-off quick questions like a single multiple choice or a single free response or single fill in the blank, to longer assessments like a multiple choice quiz where students are going to answer many multiple choice questions, or a multi-format quiz where students might answer some multiple choice and some free response. Essay questions are a free response that gives a longer box for students to work in. And then document upload is just a place where students can upload a file. So if students are working somewhere where they're going to download a PDF or a PowerPoint or an Excel spreadsheet, anything that they're going to download locally to their computer that you then need to get, they can document upload right here, including images, whatever it may be. And hopefully that will save you from having to carry papers home that you're inevitably going to spill your water bottle all over and then have to apologize for later. If you are one of our computer science teachers, you can also add coding activities as well as platypus activities, which is super fun. For those of you unfamiliar, our platypus environment is our friendly beginner coding environment, and now you can make your own platypus world puzzles for your students to solve. We're super excited about all of this, and even though it's still being built, you actually have the option to start playing with this now. While the scores and the grades won't go anywhere, if you click the preview button, it'll take you to the student view of what this will look like, and this link is shareable. So you're able to send this off to whatever students you'd like, and they can start playing in this space. When they're playing in the preview space, they can still answer questions. Again, the answers just aren't going to somewhere gradable, but they still get the practice. And most importantly, they still have the benefit of the Kira AI tutor. So this little peeking Kira octopus in the corner is going to pop up the AI tutor. I'm enrolled in a lot of computer science classes, so it's going to tell me about that first. But I can go ahead and ask it about anything that's happening in this step, and it will give me some feedback on how to move forward and how to get help. Now, despite the fact that this isn't connected to a gradebook yet, you can still utilize the things that are happening here with your students if you're focusing on things more like our multiple choice questions or our coding questions that get auto-graded anyway. When students answer multiple choice and submit, it will show them which were correct and which were incorrect. They can again use the AI tutor to assess their answers. Likewise with code, with the platypus problems and with many of our code-based problems, there is an anticipated solution. So the AI tutor can get feedback and students can understand if they were doing something correctly or incorrectly, which is great for remediation or revision or extension or any sort of extra practice that you may want students to work on, but you're not necessarily planning to put in the grade book. This is also a great time to just start making beautiful lessons. So as soon as the rest of the suite of features are released, you can go ahead and assign it to your students so everyone can start using it. We are super excited for you to play with these features, and we'll be releasing more videos shortly. Thanks, guys.